Hello, welcome to How to Level Up Fast in Hearthstone. This is a series I've done many times before, not for a while though, and there's a load of new stuff as you might imagine, and also there's a new expansion, Boomsday Project or something, I don't know. So I thought I'd just make a video about a month or so now before that expansion comes out, and we're going to go through some of the different classes that I play, and we're going to start with the Mage. And I'll go through a few different classes maybe. This is a deck that it took me a while to build it, but I really wanted it and I got it. So I've got really good cards in this and I really like it. It's not so good against some of the newer stuff, like some of these stuff with like the recruits, like the Hunter recruit deck is pretty strong. You know, and that's got the ooze in it as well. So basically there's like a recruit deck for Hunter. So you get the ooze, and then it will take the death rattle of the Vanguard, which summons an 8 minion, and then what that will do is it will then summon the charged Devil Saw. And of course if and that can attack. The charged Devil Saw is actually able to attack heroes, as long as you don't just, you know, as long as you summon it in any other way basically than putting it out normally. But that's not the point of this. This deck is obviously, it was a really strong control deck, right? And the general theme of this deck, sorry about going off that tangent, but I will talk about like Hunter as well actually. So the idea of this deck is at the beginning, like just to give you a general sort of theme, what I might do, I'd keep the Doomsayers, the Familiars, basically anything under 5. If you're playing like, especially if you say you were playing Hunters, say you were playing Hunter, or even back before when you used to play Paladin with level up, right? You don't want to be in a situation on turn 5 where you've got, you know, you've got like 3/3s, loads of 3/3s on the board, right? So against any deck where you think that's going to happen, so for instance, if a Hunter starts playing Secret after Secret turn in the first few turns, you know they're going to be playing the Spellstone on turn 5, right? Very likely to do that. So you want to keep Dragon's Fury, and of course the whole point of this deck is that the Dragon's Fury will always get at least 4 damage. Now, and probabilistically, it's much more likely to not do that. It's much more likely to get, you know, I guess the most likely is 6, isn't it? But you can get up to 10 with Pyroblast, so that's pretty cool. There's a couple of ways to break weapons. This, I guess, was more useful when. I guess Kingsbane is not so popular now, but there are still like, yeah. I mean, there's certain classes, you know, Priest's not going to have a weapon. Warlock, I don't know, maybe you have Skull of the Minari, but not that often. But there will always be useful reasons to break weapons. Gluttonous Ooze, obviously, it's slightly better than the I think it is better than the normal is. Stat line isn't great, but at least you get some armor, and getting armor is something that's actually pretty useful. You're playing against a very fast deck. If you're playing against, for instance, a Warlock deck, or you know, any deck that, because the Warlock deck you can get it, I think it's what costs 1 mana to get the cards out, right, to draw cards. So you're gonna get a lot of stuff doing that. Normally you wouldn't really keep the Artificer if you're going to do like you know, if you're going to get like a control deck, you don't really need this early on. You could do like a big play with like bring them both out and then do like a Blizzard or something. But there's some really good plays you can do in general. Like for instance, I actually quite like to keep this card, Toki Time Tinker. I was fortunate enough to get this. This is also one of the in single player, I think, this thing. It's got a slightly different thing. It resets the game or something. It resets you at each turn. So it's quite an interesting effect, that. But that's single player. But like I say, but this could be really cool to get this. Very useful against a Freezing Trap, actually, that, because it's got such a good battle cry, that. And yeah, I mean, there's certain good plays that you may want to do. Like if you're struggling, you may want to do like you know, a Dragon's Fury. I mean, Dragon's Fury Doomsayer is good because it means you could get out one of the cards you want, like Alex. A lot of it is like, I'll say if you're playing like a control deck and you get like a big card, especially Frostlich Jaina, let's be honest, this card is so strong, especially with the synergy with Syndragosa, that it's really, really worth Yeah, it can be worth keeping the Doomsayers for a little bit longer. It will get silent. I don't know. Sometimes it gets silenced, but you have to play your Doomsayers effectively, I think. Meteor will take out basically anything. There's nothing that has got more than that. Of course, if you deal with a Tyrantus, which you don't deal with so much with the Spiteful Summoner, you've got the Voodoo Doll for that. Also very good synergy with Frost Edge Jaina. Obvious reasons, right? This card is really one of the ones you always want to keep. I think there's no situation you wouldn't want to keep the Defender. Again, if it's a rush deck, you might want to take some real... Like, for instance, what's the... I can't remember, the 1/7 Taunt. You know, it's just an old one. But that's actually quite useful to take that 1/7 Taunt. If you're playing a rush deck, if you've got loads of 1/1s on the board, taking a 1/7 is pretty useful. Witchwood Piper is useful if you need that Artificer early, and it's not, the stat line's not too bad. You can also get Doomsayer out as well. I'm not sure if because I seem to recall I don't often get Raven Familiar come out of the Piper, so maybe it does use alphabetical order on this. I don't know how it randomly selects from that, but anyway, Keysmith, very great sort of card for various different situations. And then Pyroblast, good finisher, obviously, and yeah, you should be in a situation like, often if you're struggling with getting minions, you might want to take the Frozen Clone or Mirror Entity there. So what other decks have I been playing? Rogue, I've been playing a lot. Let's look at the Rogue. So the Rogue, not really too many differences from a classical sort of Rogue deck. In fact, there's barely any. But Rogue is something which... I actually got all the legendaries for Rogue. And I was thinking, hopefully something will come in the new expansion that will help. But Rogue, you just need to... It's one of those things, really, isn't it? Normally, if you want to get the Strider out really early... because you never know when your board is going to suddenly get a 4/4 boost. It's such a huge card. What other tips can I suggest with Rogue? I think you have to be... Sometimes you have to be really fast with the deck. Like, for instance, I've done things like I've put out a Leroy Jenkins, and it's not been the finisher. Don't always think Leroy Jenkins is the finisher. You know, a lot of the time eviscerates the finisher, because you never know. You could... and it depends. If you could clear their board, if you feel they don't have any responses, if they got low on cards or whatever, there's certain things you can do. Elven Minstrel is very important for draw, but the stat line is so weak that you're not always going to want to play it. It's more like you have to think in each turn. Do I want to build my board? Firefly's very good for building a board. If you build it too much, so you might lose your combos with SR7 if you've got no backstabs left. I have to consider that. Again, Vile Spine Slayer, sometimes you're going to want to actually use the Vile Spine Slayer on something that is just going to help your board. If you've got like a Strider and a Minstrel out, and even if their minion is like kind of not that great, there's no point trading it in if you can use the Slayer and get a huge advantage. Because then, you never know. I mean, depending what cards you've got. Because then you could be in a situation where you're going to sap, or you're going to, the thing is, right, like sometimes, like, if they buff up their stuff, or they give it a death rattle, spawn another taunt or whatever, sap is like, it's actually for me, sap is a better card than Vile Spine. So it's like, don't worry. So use your sap when you're going, you really know what you're going for it. But otherwise, don't bother. Obviously, Cold Blood is best with Leroy, but again, you don't always get it. Another good trick, actually, with this is if you got if you got like a powerful minion, don't cold blood. If you had a Strider and a Firefly, you may think it's a good idea to cold blood the Strider, but in fact, you'd be better off cold blooding the Firefly, assuming they can both attack. You didn't just play them. And what that will do is it will give, it will make it harder for them to get both of your minions. You can imagine like, think about it this way: if you've got like a Firefly out, it's a 5/2, and then you've got the 4/4 out. even if they said, say you had a swipe, they're druid, they got a swipe, they're still going to have to hit you in the face or have an alternative removal. Whereas if you buff out the Strider, they'll be able to hit the 1/2 in the face and just take 1 damage. So that's going to help you in that respect. And obviously you have to make, don't always. I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is they want too much from the Gadget Sand. And sometimes what happens with the Gadget Sand is, say you've just got 1 prep, or you've got like a backstab. You never know. You can literally just use that, and you could spawn like, it's almost like you get a I don't know what it would be called. I guess you chain the cards together. However you look at it, you can chain cards together you don't even have in your hand, based on the fact that you think you might get them. So yeah, that's cool. Warrior, I think I've got an older type of. Do I have the armor? There's a newer warrior than this. This is a bit classical. Yeah, this is basically the first legendary I got with this whole expansion was Darius Crowley, and this is now, I believe there's better ones than this, like with Marnie Berserkers. It's not that difficult, not that different really. But yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't played it for as long. But I mean, yeah, a Mighty Berserker would obviously fit better in here. But I don't know. I won't talk about this one too much. But safe to say, Town Crier is an amazing card. In a Raging, the Red Band Wasp is going to be a 6/2. So you can put that down. Sometimes you put that down. And remember, your opponent will not know if you've actually got the ability to. I mean, they probably think you've got the ability to do something with it, but they may not have the answers. If you can get it to a 6/2, they can attack face, super powerful. And one thing that I really like to do, which is a very cool thing, which I don't know how often this is done, but it's what I used to do a lot. It's a very good early play, like. Warrior was always, we always like to use the very good early weapon, right? That was the whole point of Warrior. And this, in a way, it's kind of different. In that you can put out the war. For instance, turn 1, coin, woodcutter's axe, you attack. Then when you put the Red Band Wasp down, it'll be a 3/4 automatically. So that's very likely if you had something like, it's really good. Like if they put down. Well, if it's a 3/4, it can take out a 2/3. So you can imagine some of the priest cards it could take out, the 2/3, the 1/3, whatever, right? It could take out a lot of those early game cards. It's really fun. I put Black Knight in there. I like it for often. This is a deck where you have a board. Often, Militia Commander is very, very useful to, because a lot of stuff is annoying to get because it's got 5 health. So this is very good against your Tar Creepers, cards like that. And obviously for card draw, Whirlwind, Battle Rage. But yeah, like I said, there's different variants now that do different things. 12 damage for Gromash, all sorts of things. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about that one too much. And the other class I play, I guess this is the class that literally I started playing yesterday. Just getting into this class. And the reason I started playing yesterday is because I got this card yesterday, Rock Delar. Because of the new expansion, whenever the new expansion comes out, I try and get at least one card from, not the previous one, but the one before. So I went through the kobolds. I was hoping for Grumble World Shaker, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Really good to play. It just I'm playing about rank 6 at the moment, and it just seemed to be fine. It seemed to work really well at the moment. I could have put in the Crushing Walls, but I went for Rat Trap instead. Rat Trap is pretty useful actually. Often if you're really starting to get a grip on the game and you're doing well, it forces your opponent to play lots of cards in a turn to defend, and this is obviously perfect for that because yeah, really strong this. But the general concept is pretty much since this came out. Place, but and also another advantage of playing Rat Trap instead of Crushing Walls is that you don't have is it buffs up more spellstones. But yeah, obviously you want to hold on to spellstones early on and tracking. But I mean, it's an interesting deck, and the thing about this, right? If your deck has no minions, one of the reasons this is such a good card is because it's very likely in the future there's going to be more spell. I mean, it's not likely; it's 100%. There's going to be stuff which is going to benefit from something like this. So this is going to be a very cool card for a while. But yeah, the general play is, you know, you want to buff up your Eagle Horn or your Spellstone ideally. Obviously, I mean, look, there are some classes that have got really good defenses against this, especially the Duskbreaker. I mean, that's a perfect defense against that. I don't know how often. Obviously, you're playing Priest, you've got to be pretty careful with that. But yeah, but this card is just if you can ditch your hand. I mean, this is why it's good. But remember, if you play your trekking, you're going to end up. You are going to end up with less cards, basically. So that can be a little bit, but I guess with Freezing Trap, you're still going to be able to maintain a decent level. Wandering Monster is good, but yeah, a lot of it really comes down to getting a good Rexar, because it's kind of crucial. Like, you need to be able to judge the moment when you're not going to be able to just steady shot and use what tools you got. Because if you think about it, the tools here, Candle Shot, there's not a great deal of power. You can see you've got 2 Animal Companions. 2 My Side is obviously quite powerful, especially, you know, where you have to have it in this deck. You wouldn't use it in a deck which has minions, but if you've got enough, or if you feel like if you're getting down to like 10 HP, that's the thing. Often, if you feel they've got no healing, you may not want to play it. If you feel you're kind of getting them down enough, but it really depends on that. I found it pretty. I found it's worse. I did kind of play similar sort of decks to this, but this card is just incredible. Yeah, because Hunter spells are good, so it really, you know, when you've got this with like two cards, and you know, it's like, it's a really, I mean, what card gives you like just puts a load of cards in your hand, like, so you don't have in your deck? I don't know. And then finally, this is not really a deck I play. I would love to play it. Should I show? It was my Paladin. I've got a Prince Liam Paladin. I can't. It's actually so rubbish that I'm not going to show it. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching.